Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's actually quite a bit better as far as like, see how it's not all the way up against the wall this time?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so here we are. We are live with Live Forever Young Radio.
Hello,
Me and Bob
Ronnie.
are here. How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I
Happy
got my
first
lightning
day.
gear on.
Yeah, happy first day of the playoffs.
Yes,
Tonight, 7 o'clock.
It's the playoffs. The Lightning
Up
are in it.
Toronto.
Toronto, Toronto. I can't remember the last time. I don't think Toronto's gotten out of the first round of the playoffs in like something like 15 years or something.
Yeah, so, those Canadian teams aren't very good anymore.
Oh, snap. You better watch it. I know there's probably a few people watching.
Just kidding. We have lots of friends in Canada.
Actually, our barley comes from Canada, so thank God.
So do our lignans and our probiotics.
Our probiotics, all that stuff. Absolutely. Beautiful, pristine farms of northern Canada.
That's right.
Right?
My parents are from Canada.
There you go. Actually, Chrissy's mom, my wife, her mom is from Canada. So we've got a lot of Canadian ties here.
That's it.
Anyway, so
hello, what are we talking about today, Ron?
So you read my mind, Bob.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about these new weight loss drugs that everybody's been talking about, kind of how they work, what they are, if it's right for you, the things that can happen when you start to use them. And then we're going to talk about diabetes in general, right? And maybe like how to avoid that in the first place.
Yeah, that'd probably be the most important thing is what do you do to maintain an ideal body weight and avoid getting diabetes, type 2 diabetes we're talking about.
Yes, type 2.
Yep. And what are the tips and tricks and habits that people need in order to not ever need to take these weight loss drugs that are becoming so popular?
That's exactly. It's best when you don't need them.
Yeah.
That's great that they might have something that'll help, but it's best when you don't actually need them. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, really, mostly about that. But we want to do a little bit of a review on what's going on with these new medications that everybody's hearing about. So we went online and we found some information from a doctor named Diana Plata, MD. She is a sleep medicine physician. And it's funny that she's a sleep medicine physician because just before this, you said a lot of this has to do with sleep as well, which we'll get into later. So check that out. But what we're talking about is the injectables, right? There's a lot of weight loss pills and stuff that's been out. It doesn't really work. But what they found is these injectables. And that's what we're talking about. The injectables, metformin, right? And what's the other one?
Ozempic is the one that most people are leaning towards right now.
And why are they doing that?
Well, Ozempic seems to be very effective in making people less hungry, not wanting to eat as much food. And it does work. It does make it. I know people that have used it and they're like, yeah, you definitely don't feel like eating as much food.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, you lose weight. The other thing that it can help with is some of the things we'll be talking about later, like exercise and habits and what are you eating. It gives people an incentive. It's because we know that you can't just take metformin or Ozempic and have that be your whole strategy. But most people know you also have to exercise, do this and that in order to stay healthy. And it gives them incentive because it's like, hey, I'm losing a little bit of weight. Now I feel like getting up and going to exercise. And that's a big part of, what's beneficial about these injections. But you have to do this with a physician.
Right.
There's a lot of reasons why you have to do it with a physician. They're going to want to look at your blood work first. They need to know what your blood sugar is. In some cases, they need to know your hormone levels,
mm-hmm.
and they have to monitor you because there are side effects with this. And if the side effects get too bad, they can either stop, they can lower the dose, but also these are meant to have the dose increased as you go.
Right. So before we get into the side effects and the details, let's talk a little bit, just real quick, what these actually are, right? So these injectables, like you said, Ozempic is the one that people are leaning towards, and metformin is I call it the original one, but one of the original ones.
Mm-hmm.
These things are actually called semaglutide. Semaglutide is the name of what I have here. And the way they kind of work, and what Bob was saying about satiating that appetite, it works by mimicking a hormone that targets areas of the brain involved in regulating appetite and food intake, right? So what this does is it actually can help you to eat fewer calories, which will lead to the weight loss. So what it's doing is it's kind of mimicking and telling your body that you're full when you might not have eaten what would normally have made you say, I'm full. So that's how that works. Now, one of the things you were talking about, right, is how they have to be taken. They have to be taken. A lot of the times they have to be increased slowly. Is that what you're saying?
Not so much slowly, but increase. Like there's a dose for the first month, and then there's a much higher dose for the second month.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to see how well you tolerate it first.
Right.
Because some people can get so constipated, for example, or have so much diarrhea that it turns out they can't actually take it at all.
Gotcha.
And so you don't want to start with the higher dose right at the beginning, or you could get into trouble.
Kind of easing into it.
Right.
Actually, our barley, which is actually great for diabetes, by the way, Gladiator barley. Yeah. Not like semaglutide, but in a way you have to ease into it because it's a really powerful detoxifier.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a little different than semaglutide.
This is the one you ease into slowly and very slowly increment.
Right.
With the semaglutide, it's more like this is the dose for this month, and we're going to double it for next month.
Right. And a lot of it's to see how you react, because as you were saying, there's some side effects that could be very unfavorable. It might not even be make it something that you would be viable for you to use. Is that correct?
It can make you really sleepy. It also can cause muscle aches, in addition to diarrhea and constipation and upset stomach. Some people are very susceptible to upset stomach, meaning the littlest bit of upset stomach debilitates them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I can't move. I'm feeling a little sick to my stomach. I'm staying in bed today.
Mm-hmm.
Because getting up, moving around makes them feel worse.
Right.
And so that can, and you want to make sure if you're going to take one of these treatments from your doctor that it's not something that's going to make it so you can't go to work or you can't fulfill your responsibility.
Right. Because if it's going to do that, then it's almost like, hey, it's counterintuitive, counterproductive would be the word, because you can't perform because of the side effects. So,
right. And these are off-label uses, right? These drugs were not designed for weight loss.
No, actually, I was just about to talk. You read it. I was reading my mind. I'm going to say that doesn't surprise me, because when these drugs were first developed in 2017 and approved, they were approved in 2017. They're for people with diabetes, type 2 diabetes. It's used to help glucose control, right? That's what it was for. And one of the side effects is the weight loss, right? And so with other side effects like weight loss, more side effects can come. And this is what Bob's talking about. So that's why if you are one of the people that they might be considering, or you yourself might be considering to try this, you're going to have to ease into it and make sure your body can actually do it. Now, what we were talking about, what I think is actually kind of a little bit better idea, is let's try to maybe work on it before this happens. Right. Yeah. Let's not let us get to the point where we need to get on metformin. Right now, that's easy to say. Right. Some people are at a point where, they might need the additional help. But if you're not to that point, what are some of the things that we can do, my friend?
Yeah, well, weight loss is one thing, but weight loss also leads to diabetes, or excess weight leads to diabetes.
Right. I wish weight loss would be something that would be easy to get and you could would do easily. But yeah, weight gain and the additional weight is what leads to diabetes, right? Because your body can't perform metabolic processes as efficiently, right?
Right. And so you have to kind of take both of these together, because once your blood sugar starts to go up because of all the things that have caused you to be overweight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't bring that blood sugar down, you're going to have a lot worse issues, right? So now you're susceptible to heart disease, kidney disease, neuropathy, and retinopathy. So you have to watch out for your eyes, your kidneys,
people
your heart and your nerves.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but people don't realize how much circulation you need for your eyeballs. Yeah. One of the first things that people who have circulation issues, especially diabetes, they start getting issues seeing.
Yeah, seeing, and then kidneys. Your kidneys need tremendous amount of circulation of blood.
Yeah, because that's what's filtering everything through your body, all the toxins.
Right.
Right.
And the other thing is that as your blood sugar goes up, so does your inflammation. So human beings are like a log burning in a fire.
Yes, we talk about this as a good metaphor. So listen, guys, we're like a log in a fire, Bob.
Yeah. And so some logs will burn very efficiently and slowly, depending on the type of wood. And if you have the flue open just the right amount for the chimney,
Right.
And the log might last for a good hour.
Right.
Nice piece of shag bark.
Some nice wood that'll burn for a while.
However, if you have some aged poplar,
right,
and you're hitting this with the bellows, getting lots of air going in, the flue's wide open, 20 minutes later, the log's burned up.
Exactly.
Humans are like that. Typically, the average person is going to live for about 85 years, even if they never get sick. 85 is the median maximum lifespan, right? So what we want to do is slow that rate of burn.
Right.
We don't want it to increase.
No.
Because that's what makes the actual age that people die much, much lower than 85 years. And so you want to be able to slow that rate of burn. And if your blood sugar is high, you end up having what's called glycation. So you have sugar that's in your bloodstream and it bumps up against the proteins that you went to a lot of trouble to make to fuel your body. And now you have a glycoprotein, which is actually a toxin. And in the process of that glycation, it creates inflammation. It throws off a molecule of superoxide every time they bump each other. And so now you're burning yourself faster. So people with higher blood sugar burn themselves up faster than people who don't. Okay. And that's one of the main reasons why you want to lower your blood sugar. This heart disease, kidney disease, neuropathy, gastroparesis, retinopathy, it's a result of high inflammation that's targeting these particular parts of your body.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about inflammation a lot, and there's an article I refer to all the time because I like the title of it, but it's really accurate. Time magazine years ago did an article on inflammation called The Silent Killer, right?
Yeah.
It's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. I mean, we're starting to pay more attention to it because this article was from 10, 12 years ago, probably a little longer, but we're starting to understand that the inflammation is the root of a lot of these chronic diseases, right? And that when we don't try to, like you said, burn slower or slow down the inflammation, we get the glycation, we get the free radicals, and these cause damage. And not only do they cause damage, but they make it harder for us to repair. And they really make it hard to repair when you don't eat a good diet. Right. If you don't get the proteins and you don't get stuff that like the ACE vitamins, ACE, specialty nutrients that you can get from stuff like Boomer Boost, good supplements like that, then you're burning up like the poplar. Yeah. And you're gonna be burnt to a crisp sooner than later.
Yeah. And you can actually measure this. You can tell how fast you're burning yourself.
Yes.
With blood tests. There's a number of different ones. The main one they use is CRP, C-reactive protein.
Yep.
And it'll give you a number. The average person is around a 3, which means you're going to be the typical person who at some point in your life is going to get heart disease, have a stroke, get Alzheimer's disease, kidney disease, and these inflammatory adult onset diseases are what kills almost everyone.
Right.
And so you want to know that number. That number is used by the life insurance companies as one of the main biomarkers where the life insurance company knows when you're going to die. The life insurance company, when they look at your blood and the measurements of your body and your body mass index, they know within 3 months when you're going to die.
We should all really try to make that something that we can learn. Yeah. Why don't we get those numbers and that algorithm from the insurance companies and use it? I'm sure people do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people have it, and there's actually books written about it. There's podcasts about it. There's a famous podcast called The Man Who Knows When You're Going to Die.
Okay.
And he was a scientist that worked for the life insurance companies. And He now has his own private business, and he'll help you with your blood work, and he'll tell you when you're going to die, and then he'll tell you when to change that, how to change that day.
That's what we want to know.
Right. And so the good news is that what he's teaching, where the rubber meets the pavement, is what he knows about changing that. We know all of that already.
That's true.
Okay. And so you can get your CRP test and see if you want. You don't need that whole elaborate type of testing that might cost you thousands of dollars. We know already what you have to do, because at Boomers Forever Young, we've been helping people with diabetes for 12 years.
Yep, kidney problems, stuff like that.
To get back on track. So one of the main things that is, so what's happening with Ozempic is it's making you eat less food, right?
Right.
And so
you eat less.
You crave, and you're craving less food, so you eat less. It gives you a little incentive to maybe watch your diet, what you are eating, and it gives you incentive to go do some exercise. And now all of a sudden, it's the combination of those that leads to a lot of the weight loss.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because one of the things that we have right here is very important, actually, from Dr. Plata here. It says, these uses of these weight loss medications should be done under the guidance of a physician who can explain the side effect profiles, just like you said, Bob, contradictions, and drug interactions. So like if you're probably sick with diabetes, you might have blood pressure problems, right? So you can't just go taking this. You need to definitely talk to the doctors. Now, also too, it says here, where is it at? Yeah. So it says basically when you increase your exercise and you also start watching your diet under the supervision of a physician, you're able to prevent weight regain after discontinuation of these medications.
That's the main thing, because if you don't do anything different, you don't start to exercise or watch your diet or get well nourished, then you're going to gain the weight back.
Exactly. And that's what they're talking about here.
Right.
These things are kind of like everybody wants a magic bullet. And we know that, Bob, right? We talk to people all the time and they start taking our products, and many people say, well, I don't feel anything right away. When should I expect it? Well, you're easing into one, and you've probably been malnourished for years, right? So it's going to take a little bit of time, right? Everybody's expecting, I take the pill, boom, I feel better. Or I take the injection, boom, I lose weight. Well, here's this kind of a magic thing that you got to use, but that doesn't mean it's going to make you stay skinny.
Yeah.
It's the habits that you form that will keep you there, right? Because if there's side effects, like it says right here in this article we were talking about, in which Bob was describing, you're not going to want to deal with those long term. You're going to want to lose the weight and then figure out how to stay healthy enough so you don't need them. That's the whole point of this, I would think, anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the research is saying. Exactly what you just mentioned. So you have to.
And I'm not even a doctor.
And so let's look at what an alternative is to taking the medication, right? So the effect of the medication is I don't feel like eating as much food, so I lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what's another thing that you can do other than the medication? What about getting well nourished, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people who are overweight are eating too much food because they're malnourished.
Right.
And so their body is craving more and more food because like, hey, I need some more of these vitamins and minerals, and I need some more protein. So I'm going to eat. But
let's be clear real quick before that, because they eat because they need all these things. But when you say malnourished, you don't mean people who aren't eating food. You mean people who are overfed, right? These are people who are eating things with high caloric indexes and little to no nutrition. No nutritional value. So you're eating these things and it satisfies you for about 15 minutes. And then you have nothing that your body can use to rebuild, repair. And so you're still hungry. That's what he's talking about.
Right.
Go ahead. So,
right. And so that's part of what we've been helping people with for years is how do you get well nourished in a quick and easy way so that you don't crave so much food. Okay. And so that's when we put together the foundational nutrition system that we have that gives you macronutrients, the vitamins and minerals that you need, It gives you metabolic enzymes, antioxidants, probiotics,
Gladiator barley.
etc. And so now what often happens is people get well nourished for the first time in their life.
Yes, and
They
then
were
they start.
malnourished in the womb.
Yep.
Because mom was malnourished. They were malnourished their whole life because they were fed baby food with no nourishment, and the diet that their family fed them was not good. They gave them a lot of candy, they gave them juice to drink all the time, and they didn't have a plan for having a good holistic system of whole foods that
Mhm.
they would feed their children.
Mhm.
And so a lot of children going back to the 1960s grew up on junk food and processed food.
That's very true. That's
Yeah.
very true.
And so once you get well nourished, and we've seen this with thousands of people,
Mhm.
once we help them to get well nourished and you make it easy. So you give people powders and pills they can take in the morning. It takes about 2 minutes, and you get all the basic nutrients that you need. And normally you're not hungry to want to eat breakfast, and you actually aren't hungry for lunch maybe until 2 o'clock in the afternoon or thereabouts. And so by the time you eat a small lunch and you're still well nourished, and you eat a smaller dinner than you're used to, now people get more energy. They start to release weight. And because they have more energy, they're more likely to exercise. Yeah, I feel like going out for a walk. I feel like going for a hike in the woods with my friends. I've got energy and incentive now because I'm starting to see that I'm feeling better, I'm looking better. And so now I'm going to participate with the other aspects of health and wellness that really make the difference. So that's a big part of it, Raleigh. Get well nourished, and maybe, just maybe, you don't need injections from your doctor, right? And it's actually a lot cheaper because you're not going to get your insurance company to pay for these medications.
Actually, yeah, that's what I was.
It's going to cost you
gonna mention
somewhere around 5 to 10 times as much money as getting well nourished with a total health system.
And the thing that's about getting well nourished is you don't have these side effects, right?
Right.
You're not going to deal with the side effects.
The side effects are positive.
Right.
More energy, your brain works better, you lose weight.
You better quit stealing. I was about to say, you're not going to deal with the negative side effects. You got all the positive stuff. You've got more energy. Your body metabolism's working better. Good side effects may be your blood pressure starts to increase or work better, or things like your circulation is starting to work better. You start having more clear thoughts, right? Because you're getting the nutrients, vitamins, and minerals that you need to your brain.
And probably not even to mention the money you're going to save, right?
Yes.
So you're going to save money by not eating as much food, and that's a really good thing. And then the other things that to be concerned about when you start taking in good nutrition is the whole issue of digestion. So most people, by the time they get to the place where they need an intervention, are not absorbing their nutrients very well, and they're not digesting their food very well.
Well, we talk a lot about that with when you get older. Specifically, you get a plaque that builds up, first of all, on your intestines, where the villi, we talk about those guys, the villi are like little fingers that take the nutrients and distribute them throughout the body to the bloodstream.
Absorb them into the blood. Yep.
Into the bloodstream, right? And when you have a layer of plaque that inhibits them, you're not absorbing. And one of the breakthroughs actually Bob was able to find is this Gladiator barley, right? It has SOD and everything in here that will help cleanse those villi, and it'll help not only increase the absorption, but it'll help give you better gut health in general. It gives you protein, and it also detoxes other parts of the body because of the amount of SOD in it.
Yeah. And so that's the absorption side of it. At the very beginning, before you can absorb nutrients, you actually have to digest it.
Right.
And so here's a thing about feeling hungry all the time. People will gulp their food.
Yep.
Chew twice and swallow. Chew twice and swallow, and before you know it, a whole plate of pasta is gone, right?
It happens.
And you can't digest your food very well if you don't chew it, because a big part of digestion is the digestive enzymes that are in your mouth.
Yes.
And so you want to chew slowly, thoroughly, let the food start to get digested, and then let it arrive in your stomach where it's already gone through the first phase.
Yes.
Your stomach doesn't handle food very well that hasn't been chewed and pre-digested.
Right.
And so then once the food gets into your stomach, it's going to get digested with more digestive enzymes and acid. And you want to make sure that if you're much older and you're not producing as many of those enzymes and the acid, that you have a really good digestive enzyme that you can take with your meals. I take it in the morning, Raleigh, because I drink coffee with good oils in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my total health system.
Right.
And I take a digestive enzyme with that.
Really?
Yeah. And then once you know what a good digestive enzyme is and you take it with your meals, now you're going to digest the food in your stomach almost in its entirety, and it's going to be properly alkalized before it drops into your small intestine. Now, that type of food that is now in liquid form, as it drops into your small intestine, the nutrients are absorbable, right? And so further digestion happens in your small intestine, particularly of fats that aren't completely digested in your stomach. And that's what your gallbladder does. It secretes bile acids that help to digest it, and additional enzymes that come over from your pancreas into your small intestine.
Okay.
Right? So it goes, the pancreas sends enzymes to your stomach and then your small intestine. So now you're digesting things really well. You've absorbed the nutrients with the villi that have been cleansed.
Right.
And all of a sudden now you're nourished better than you ever have been in your life. Because when you were young, you ate a lot of junk food. As you got older, your villi got coated over with plaque. And even if you switched to a healthy diet, you wouldn't be absorbing much of it. This takes care of all of that. This system we're talking about.
Right.
Now you're getting the best nutrition you've ever gotten in your life, and you're able to absorb all of it. And guess what? You tend not to get overweight if you have that strategy that you can deploy for yourself.
Well, I think what a lot of people, what a lot of people end up doing is when they first start taking the products, some people start feeling it right away, right? And a lot of those people I noticed that start feeling it right away are people who have let's say are the most malnourished, right?
Yeah.
Because their body, or them, I guess, are so used to not having what it needs that once it gets introduced, they're like, whoa. I actually had an old lady call me once, it's probably 8, maybe 7 years ago when I was working here. I was answering the phones, and she actually asked me if there was anything illegal in the products, because she felt so much energy, and I was like, no. Like, she goes, okay, well, I just want to make sure, because like I guess she had medications that the doctors need to make sure she was taking, so they test her to make sure.
Yeah.
She's like, I just want to make sure there won't be anything in my blood. It's like, no, it's not at all.
Well, we just got a testimonial, I think it was 4 days ago, from a woman that said that she was feeling really great, and when she went to her doctor, she brought the nutrition products with her that she was taking because her doctor insisted he wanted to see them. So he examined the products and gave his thumbs up, she said. So he's like, gave a thumbs up because she was doing so much better. All of her blood work came into the normal range, and she had a problem with her foot for a couple of years because she had injured it in an accident, and it was red and swollen, and it wouldn't get better. But when she started taking our products, that started getting better. And so he was like, hey, I'm going to be trying these products myself.
Nice.
And because I might want to recommend them to other of my patients.
Yeah.
Because she typically, when people go to the doctor, they'll get better somewhat from the medications that they're given. But in general, they go downhill over time because they've got high inflammation, and they don't exercise, and poor eating habits. But when people start to get well nourished and feel energetic enough to do exercise, then they can actually improve And so the visits to the doctor get better and better.
I hear you. And
Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at the chat. So we've got a couple people in the chat here. We've got Tweety Smith. All right, so here we go. I'm going to read some stuff, Bob. This is really cool, man. So
Yeah, this is the fun part about doing lives.
yes, so I just wanted to take a second, everybody, just so if you obviously anybody who's watching on a replay, if you didn't catch this live, me and Bob are now going live on. We have two places you can find us on Facebook. We're on Live Forever Young Facebook. Our page is called Live Forever Young Radio, and then our Facebook for Boomers products is Boomer Wellness Network. And then our YouTube channel is called Boomers Forever Young. And we're live on those all at the same time. And we're also on TikTok. You can find it at Raleigh with Boomer Products. So we're doing it all concurrently. And one of the people that's in our chat right now is Tweety Smith. And she said, thankful and grateful for your products. And she actually mentioned that she came in and talked with you, Bob, at one point, Miss Smith. And she said, thanks so much. She said she heard about us from Mr. Rex.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So absolutely. Very glad. We will definitely let Rex know that you came over and hung out with us. I don't think he'll be too jealous, but I appreciate you visiting with us. But yeah, she found out where we were and came on down. And then here, check this out. This is what she just said. Now her blood work is perfect. And I'm becoming the change that she wants to see, just like Rex says all the time. That's Rex's thing.
Project.
Becoming the change I want to see. And that's actually a great thing we could say. You got to become the change you want to see, because if you're not becoming it, you're destined to repeat it. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, and then I said, thanks for coming and visiting with us. And she said, no problem. It was the pinnacle point of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, and no regrets. Trust me. Awesome. And then our good friend Jean is in here. And it was funny, right when you said, make sure you eat slowly, she just started to eat a sandwich. And so I said, yes, be sure to chew completely. And then Christina, hey, Christina's in here too. She says, Jean Nevius makes sure to chew well all the time. Hey guys, Jean says, welcome everybody in. Absolutely. So yes, thank you chat for interacting. That's why we're doing this. Also too, it's because, we've done about 75 shows now in the format of pre-recorded. We have 75 pre-recorded shows you can find on liveforeveryoungradio.com. You can also find them on boomerboost.com, which is where you can get these awesome products, the ones that we're talking about, the one that Tweety's talking about there. You can go to boomerboost.com and you can find the products, or you can go look at our podcasts there too. We have actually blogs and podcasts there. Plenty of information to sift through, plenty of good stuff to learn. And that's kind of why we actually, 2 years ago now, started the Live Forever Young Radio podcast, was to kind of, reach out and talk to people. Well, we definitely reached out, but the talking, we didn't have any live interaction. So once we kind of got our brains wrapped around how it worked, we said, hey, this would be a much better way to interact with our people. That way, if there's any questions, they can come on in and talk to us and let us know what's going on. And if we can answer them, we can,
Speaking of those podcasts, Rob, other issues that, relate to diabetes and raising of blood sugar, one of them is sleep. And there's a lot of research that shows, in fact, you were saying this doctor was a sleep-wake disorder specialist.
She's an obesity and sleep medicine physician.
Yeah. And so the two go hand in hand.
Dr. Plata.
So in regard to sleep, first off, we have a sleep aid that works with about 95% of the people that use it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Secondly, with sleep, people need to make sure that their biorhythm aspect of health is in order, meaning you want to let your body know when it's time to be awake and when it's time to be asleep by using light. Right. And your hormones of sleep are controlled by light. And so you want to make sure that when you get up in the morning, you get into the light, open up the shades, don't be stumbling around in the half dark, get light going on. If possible, go outside for a walk in the light after you have some water, and your body will now be saying, okay, it's time to be awake. Then what will happen is, as it starts to get dark, your body will know that it's time to go to sleep. And this is when you want to make sure you're sleeping in a room that's blacked out, right? So you don't want lots of little lights from your alarm clock or this or that, lighting up your room. And you want blackout shades. You don't want light from street lights or even the moon leaking in through the sides of your
Funny
shades.
that you said that. We just got some new, not blinds, not vertical blinds, but curtains. God, I couldn't think of the word. We just got some new curtains, and they're blackouts, but they're just like that much too short to fit in the windows. And like, you're right. When if it's a Saturday and I'm trying to sleep in a little bit,
You wake up when that light comes in.
that light
Right.
hits my eyelids, and it's like,
You want
what?
you want it to be dark, and and the other important thing to know is you want to try not to have to wake up with an alarm clock unless you calibrate it really specifically, where you go to bed at the same time every night and you get up at the same time every morning, and the alarm clock's waking you up, because your body sleeps in these cycles. And you don't want to wake up in the middle of a cycle. You want to wake up at the end of one of the cycles. And then you can begin to get good sleep. And good sleep helps with a lot of different things. Right? Another big one, Ralph,
Yes, sir.
dehydration.
It's so funny that you said that. My daughter, she got this new, it's one of them bottles. It's about that round by about that tall. And it's got, how much water is in there. But on the other side, it's got a timeline. It's like, okay, wake up. It's 7 a.m. From 7 to 8, you should drink this much. And it has little sayings like next to each hour. It's like, great start to the day. Second time around. Here we go. Here comes some more. And then so like as you go down and it has times, like 7, 9, 11, 1, and you're supposed to drink so much water in those time frames.
That's a great idea.
And she's been using it, and she actually, I noticed, well, she hasn't had it she didn't have it the last day, and she wasn't drinking so much water. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, well, I didn't fill up my bottle. I was like, so what? Drink it out of a cup. Go get more water. Yeah. She's like, oh, okay. So it's like, if you can find something that motivates you to drink more water like that or something, it'll be a great thing. Because I have to tell you, there's times where I don't even realize, like, if you feel actually like right now, I've been drinking water, but my lips are dry. If your lips are dry, that means you're dehydrated. Yeah. If your lips are if they're not a little moist, you haven't been drinking enough. Yeah. So let me get on that.
My lips got really dry the last week. I was out in Utah. The air is extremely dry, and it's winter out there.
Right.
And so now I'm catching up on my hydration. I couldn't stay hydrated. But here's another thing, Ron, just in regard to your diet itself. So you're starting to feel less hungry, and now you want to know about the glycemic index of foods, because the glycemic index of foods, with sugar being very, very high and something that's mostly fats and proteins being very, very low, it's that glycemic index of what you're eating in totality that makes it more likely you're going to have high blood sugar. So the first thing is what you're drinking. Still to this day, almost 25% of all the calories consumed in the United States is from drinking soda pop.
Yes, it is.
And if you add in sports drinks and other sugary drinks, even drinks that you think are going to be really good for you, that have electrolytes.
Or no added sugar.
Right. And you look at how much sugar is really in there, you're taking in way too much sugar, and it's going to raise your blood sugar. So that's the very first place to start. And then you also want to be able to figure out where else sugars are that you're not aware of. And there's a great book about that. It's called The Sugar Impact Diet.
J.J. Virgin, one of our favorites.
J.J. Virgin Sugar Impact Diet is a scholarly work, but it's easy to read. And she goes through where the hidden sugars are, and she gives all these checklists Instead of eating this, eat this.
Hmm.
And if you follow along with her recommendations, you're going to reduce your sugar intake. You're going to reduce your blood sugar. You're going to reduce your chances of being diabetic and of having excess weight. Because when you consume too much sugar and your body can't use it all for fuel, it stores it as fat.
Now, there's another book that we talk about a lot, and I think it's actually really important because it's easy to say, hey, don't eat this and eat these things only, right? But some people like me, like in math, they tell me the Pythagorean theorem, and I'm like, well, why? And they're like, well, they already figured that out. Just plug the numbers in. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know why are we doing this? And never enough of an explanation, right? So one of the books that Bob had introduced me to that really helps to get to the psychology of it is Women, Food, and God.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great book, especially for anybody out there who is struggling with weight and is struggling with body image or themselves or just in general. That Women, Food, and God book is a great book to read, and it can give you a little bit more of an insight on, instead of just don't eat that or eat this, and which is, I mean, JJ does that too. She explains it in Sugar Impact Diet, but this one, I think it helps you look at it from a little bit of a different perspective, why you make the choices you make and the things that you do, and can help you to make better choices. Because a lot of this is choices and habits, right, guys? Right. I mean, this is choices and habits. These are choices that you can make. And a lot of the times you make choices based on habits, right? Yeah. And if your habits are not the healthiest, you're not making healthy choices, right? Yeah. So where we talk a lot about this too is what you have written down here is habits being one of the central things to focus on and do them with a solemn commitment and a real reason, right? Not just, well, I want to lose weight. Why do you want to lose weight? I want to lose weight so I can run around with my kids. I want to lose weight so I can ride a bike for more than 5 minutes without being winded. I want to lose weight so I can be healthy and not have diabetes and live longer for my family. You know, those are the things that you want to think about, the whys, not the how am I going to lose weight or do I want to? Of course you want to. Most people want to. I mean, that's fine if you don't, but it might cause you health issues. But, you know, why?
Yeah.
Think of the whys.
The why is really important, Raleigh. So one of the things people can do that's very simple is take a piece of paper.
Ooh, I'm sorry, real quick. I'm sorry. Yes, don't forget about the whys. But we got a little comment here. So we've got very juicy. Yes. So we have Tweety here saying she drinks 1 mineral water and the rest spring water, about 4 to 5 a day because she juices her fruits and vegetables. Right. She's completely stopped meats. She also makes her own ginger turmeric shots. We've got some of those from around. There's a place called Juice Works, I think is what it's called. And they have those little shots. We took one. I took one. Whew. Those are very cleansing, we'll say. And then she also uses raw, local sourced honey for her main sugar. And now she's talking self-love because that's where we're at. So go ahead. There we go. Thank you for the interaction. Go ahead, Bob.
So this is the way people can do this. Take a sheet of paper and right in the middle, write down weight release. And on the left-hand side, then put a column here. So it looks like this.
Oh, right? They can't see it. It's too bright in here. All right. So just imagine a piece of paper.
Divide it
says
in
weight
thirds,
release in there, and then divide it in
release
thirds.
Is on the middle, and on the left side is all the reasons why, which Raleigh was just talking about.
Right.
Okay.
On the left, why?
All right, and then on the right, you're going to put feelings. And these feelings are in the future. How is it that you're going to feel as you begin to release weight? All right. And so you're going to put things down like proud. Right?
Happy.
You're going to put happy, satisfied, in control, things like this. All right. And so now you have a weight release goal. You know why you want to do it, and you know how you're going to feel when you get there.
Boom, boom, boom. 3 columns.
So now a little trick on the feeling side. You can take yourself out on your timeline. So if you close your eyes and you look to the left, this is your past. Right here in the middle is my present, and out here to the right is my future. So now Imagine by looking over to the right that you're taking yourself out on your timeline. You've already released weight and you're feeling these feelings. Man, I'm so grateful. Use the word grateful. I'm so grateful about how proud I feel from having finally released this weight. And I'm so happy now that I'm not dragging myself around anymore, tired all the time, right? And by moving out on your timeline into the future and feeling what it feels like as if it's already done, does something magical where it gives you the incentive to stick to your program. All right?
That's that future. That's almost like a visualization technique. And one thing that you used to actually, I don't know if you guys, I'm sure nobody knows this, but Bob is actually a visualization coach. He actually worked with a couple Major League Baseball players and professional sports players to use these visualization techniques before the game to help with focus and performance.
Yeah.
Pretty
Absolutely.
cool. Pretty cool.
So that other thing with habits, Raul, which is really good, is we've done a whole podcast on habits.
Absolutely.
Habits.
Habits to help seize the day as well.
Based on BJ Fogg's work,
Yes.
who wrote the book Tiny Habits.
Yes.
So if you're going to get some books to help you out on your path to not needing to take medication, JJ's book.
JJ, The Virgin Diet.
Yeah. And then also Women, Food, and God.
Women, Food, and God.
And then also Tiny Habits.
Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg.
Right.
Very good.
And so if you have those 3 books, and you'll notice, I mean, these are famous people that wrote these books.
Yes.
These are the top people in the world on this subject of releasing weight. Okay? Because the Sugar Impact Diet, very important. It tells you, what to do, what to avoid. The Tiny Habits book tells you how to do it, how to change your habits. And then Women, Food, and God is talking about the spiritual and emotional aspect of it. And they say it's not just for women, right? It's not only about food, right? And it's not about religion. Right? It's not a religious book, whether it's one form of religion or another. It's more of a spiritual book. Extremely helpful. And the combination of those 3 books, just it'd be hard for us to know what we know and to run lives like this without having access to these experts that we study.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the good things too, we get a lot of really good feedback from people like Tweety.
Yeah.
Right. And we've actually since 2011, Boomer Products, 2011, was it? So since 2011, we've probably helped about in our database, we've got about 20,000 people.
Yeah.
So we've got about 20,000 people that we've been able to reach out to and help. And we've got some really good reviews too. And actually some of those are really profound. So a lot of them are almost ones we can't really put out because they're so long. I mean, literally novels. So if you really want to read some good reviews, go check out.
There's 2,500 plus of them.
Yeah. And on Trustpilot, we're at 4.9.
Yeah.
And those ones are crazy too. Yeah. So anyway, if you guys get a chance to go to boomerboost.com, check out our reviews. Thank you for joining us here, for our live with Live Forever Young Radio, me and Bob. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday. Shoot for around 11. Today we were about 15 minutes late. It's just because we wanted to make sure we had the best show ready, right?
Yeah.
So if we're never on, if we're not on at 11, just hang out. We'll be there. But Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can catch it on our YouTube channel, which is Boomers Forever Young, if you're watching on it now. Facebook, we have 2. You can catch us on Boomer Wellness Network, or you can find us on Live Forever Young Radio on Facebook, or TikTok. I point over here because TikTok's on my phone. TikTok won't let me do it on the whole interface that I have set up, so I have to do a little bit of a separate one for it. But you're welcome to join on there. And I've been trying to stay up with the chat today. I think I have. So Tweety, last thing Tweety said is 347 down to 273 and still going. Letting go of what doesn't serve my highest and best. That's exactly right. And of course, we are so proud of you and the amazing progress you made. And we're here. You stopped by, you said hi. You can always call us 1-800-861-4673. 4609. We actually have some really amazing people. We have how old's Gene now?
86.
Gee, we have an 86-year-old man. And I say year-old man, but he's really known as the dancing machine.
Yeah.
It's Gene the dancing machine, 86-year-old guy, and he still changes his oil, cleans his pool, and he'll tell you all about it if you call in. And then we have Jim Lee, who
Same age.
is the same exact age, and if you ever get a call from a guy named Jim Lee to check and make sure that you're using your barley right, take a minute to say hi to him. Great guy. Also, we have Lucy, who is she is a Reiki master, and she's
and we're not allowed to say her age.
No, you would, if you talked to her on the phone, you'd think she was 35.
That's
so
right.
we'll just go with 35. Lucy's 35.
Here you go.
Her biological age is 35, and she's a Reiki master and an amazing person in general. She actually studied psychology. Is it psychiatrist? Psychology?
No, psychology.
Psychology.
Yeah.
Psychology. She's a major in psychology. Hey, Brian. Hey, there you are, buddy. We've got Brian over here. Good morning. Good morning, Brian. Thank you for joining us here, buddy. But yeah,
and
we've
also
also
Stephanie.
got Stephanie. You can't forget about Stephanie, because Stephanie she's quick draw McGraw on the phone.
She'll pick up the phone and help you in any possible way you want. And she is really great at communicating back and forth with the rest of the staff.
Yep.
And it's a collaborative effort. So people say, hey, so-and-so called and they had a question about this. Stephanie will put that question out, or Gene will put the question out. Stephanie will answer Gene, vice versa. I'll help people with different things like that as well.
Tweety says, yes, Gene is my go-to man.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're hanging out with us too.
So Gene is now at the very beginning stages of middle age.
Yes, he's finally reached middle age.
So round Boomers Forever Young middle age begins at 85. Gene is now 1 year into middle age. We're still waiting for him to act like he's middle aged, but I think we might have given up hope on that. I think he'll be more than 120, and he'll still be the same Gene.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Actually, if Gene ever changed, I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, we really appreciate you guys being here. We've got maybe a couple more minutes. So before we say goodbye, just wanted to tell you guys one more time, if you want to check us out live, be sure to check us out on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube now. You'll also be able to catch the replays of the podcast, what we're doing now on YouTube. It uploads directly to YouTube and Facebook, so get caught up. One of the reasons why we're doing this is because we would love to have interaction, right? So whoever's in here now, if you guys, want to send us an email to boomerboost@boomerboost.com. If you have some ideas for a show we could do, or some questions about specific products, our products aren't the most simple, right? They work together in a way that sometimes you might need a little bit of information for it, right? So please feel free to send us questions and everything. Like we said, we've got people standing by. And if you don't want to talk to the people on the phone, join us on live and talk to Bob directly. Me and Bob are here every Tuesday and Thursday. So apart from that, I think we had fun today. We had a lot of people hanging out. Much love to you too, Tweety. Much love to you, Christina and Brian. Thanks for joining us on our lives. Gene probably had to go back to work after lunch. Thank you for hanging out with us, Gene. And we'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you on the next one.